In the last video, we went over functional notation, as I showed you over here, where we just basically called something y equals f of x is the input, and f of x is the output. Now let's just go through a couple of examples of how to find the output when I provide you with the input. So let's give you an example. So let's say, for example, I say f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. So just to clarify one more time, x is the input. So over here too, x is the input. And f of x is the output. So 2x plus 3 is the output. So once again, remember, x is the input, and 2x plus 3 is the output. So let's go through some examples. So for example, what is f of 1? Okay, so I'm going to put 1 in a different color. Let me put f of 1. Okay, and so what that is equal to is simply 2 times whatever the value of x is. Well, the value of x is 1, so therefore this is also going to be 1, and then it's going to be plus 3. So what this means is 2 times 1 plus 3, so it's 2 plus 3, and that's equal to 5. So in other words, when we have an input of 1, we have an output of 5. Let's try another example. Let's say I have f of 2. So I'm going to put 2 in green and f of 2. So again, what this means is I'm going to replace this x with the value that I have here. So it's going to be 2 times the input, which is 2. And then let's not forget the plus 3. So that's equal to 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 plus 3, which is equal to 7. So for an input of 2, I have an output of 7. Let's try 7. So let's say, for example, if I have an input of 7. So let's put an input of 7, okay? And so once again, it's 2 plus 3. And then what's the input? Well, that's 7, okay? So that's equal to 2 times 7, that's 14. And 14 plus 3, well, that's 17. And therefore, for an input of 7, I have an output of 17. Let's do another example with a different function. So here's an example of a different function. You've probably never seen this function before, but that's okay. You already know the way to find the outputs if I give you an input. So let's do this. So here f of x is equal to 1 over 2x plus 3. Okay, so it's 1 divided by 2x plus 3. So let's start with something simple. Let's start with f of 1. Okay, so f of 1. So what this is equal to is simply 1 over 2, and what I'm going to put there as the input is 1. So that's equal to 1 over 2 times 1 is 2, so it's 2 plus 3, and that's equal to 1 over 5. So when I have an input of 1, I have an output of 1 over 5. Let's try a different number. So let's say I have f of negative 4. If I have f of negative 4, that's equal to 1 over 2, right? And what's going to be, so whatever the input here will go right there, right? So what's 2 times negative 4? Well, that is 1 over negative 8 plus 3. And negative 8 plus 3, well, that's negative 5. So it's 1 over negative 5. Or another way to write this is negative 1/5. All right, so when I have an input of negative 4, I have an output of negative 1/5. Let's try 2 more with the same idea. So this time I'm going to do f of 3 over 2. Okay, so basically 1.5. 3 over 2 is just 1.5. So it's going to be 1 over 2 plus 3, and the input is going to be 3 over 2. So let's see how that works. So if you understand this, it's what I'm really saying is 2 times 1.5. 3 over 2 is 1.5. And 2 times 1.5 is actually 3. So it's 1 over 3 plus 3, which is equal to 1 over 6. Finally, let's do our last example where the input is going to be negative 3 over 2. And let's see how that works. So it's 1 over 2 plus 3, and our input is going to be negative 3 over 2. And 2 times negative 1.5, so 2 times 1.5 is 3, so 2 times negative 1.5 is going to be negative 3. So 1 over negative 3 plus 3. And negative 3 plus 3 is simply 0. So we have 1 over 0. Now, if you've ever seen this before, 1 over 0 is actually undefined because we can never divide by 0. Because what this means is, let's say, for example, you have one candy, but no friends, 0 friends to share it with. It's just almost, it's ridiculous. It's so hard to believe. How can someone have no real friends? Even mathematicians can't even fathom the idea of someone having no friends. And so the way we describe this notation, 1 divided by 0, the proper answer is we say it's undefined. We're speechless. We can't even define someone having no friends. So for this solution, we say it's undefined. So anything divided by 0 is always classified as undefined. So in this case, for an input of negative 3 over 2, we really just have no output. It's just undefined. We have no real solution, no real output for this. We just can't even express ourselves. So anyways, so that's it for this video. In the next video, I'll go over some more examples of inputs and outputs.